Chapter 4. A Nerve-Tingling Ride. "Maybe you girls had better give up the trip," Mrs. Gruen suggested nervously. "But why?" Nancy asked. "What else did the police discover?" The housekeeper said that among the pile of stolen plates which had been found there was a pistol. Apparently, it had been accidentally dropped. Hannah was sure that a dangerous person or persons who carried weapons intended to make trouble for Nancy, Bess, and George if they continued their trip. Nancy herself was worried and told Hannah what had happened to the new car. But she added quickly, "We're driving a different car. It's black and not so conspicuous as the yellow one. What's more, we saw the thief. Now that he knows he's been recognized, he won't dare appear in the daytime. Please don't worry, Hannah dear." "Well, I suppose it's all right," said the housekeeper. "I do wish your father were here to advise you, but he's gone out of town for the night." Nancy said goodbye and hung up. When she relayed the latest clue to Bess and George, they agreed that the safest thing for them to do would be to get ahead of the thief on the road. "So let's start at once," said Nancy, "and drive until dawn at least. We can take turns driving and sleeping. Suppose we eat supper here, then we'll give up our rooms and start on." The girls found the meal of fried chicken, accompanied by hot cornbread and sweet potatoes, very tasty. For dessert, they had delicious homemade pecan pie. "I could go to sleep right now," said Bess, yawning contentedly. "I ate too much." "I feel fine," George said. "I'll take first turn at the wheel." After picking up their bags, the girls went to the car. Nancy and Bess climbed into the rear seat and were soon sound asleep. George drove for nearly 2 hours, then stopped. She awoke Bess, who was to take her turn at driving. "Where are we?" asked the plump girl, sleepily surveying the blackness around them. George said they had crossed the state line a half hour ago. "We're getting into the mountains now, so take it easy," she advised. As Bess started off, she was very quiet. She did not reveal her feelings to her cousin, but she was beginning to think that the trip had a jinx on it. The wind was blowing hard. There was no moon and not one star in the sky. Bess felt a slight chill run up her spine. "It's just plain spooky," she told herself. By now, George was sleeping soundly beside Nancy in the rear seat. Bess, a good driver, put mile after mile behind them. Fortunately, there was only one main road, so she had no decision to make about which direction to take. But at 1 o'clock, she came to an intersecting highway. "Now which way do I go?" Bess asked herself, stopping the car. Turning her spotlight on the sign, she carefully read the names of the towns in each direction. Not one of them was familiar to her and gave her no clue as to which road to take. Bess opened the glove compartment and took out a map. She spread it on her lap and tried to figure out just where she was. Suddenly, a voice at her elbow startled her. "Can I help you?" Alongside her partially open window stood a smiling young man. Bess gave an involuntary squeal, then asked, Where did you come from?" Her outcry had awakened the 2 girls in the rear seat. They sat up, alert at once. Both were amazed to see the stranger. "Hello there," he said pleasantly to Nancy and George. To Bess he added, "I see you have passengers." "Yes," said Bess, "and maybe you can help us." "Glad to," the young man replied. "Sorry if I frightened you. I just parked over in those woods with my trailer about half an hour ago. Hadn't gone to bed yet. When I saw you stop, I figured you might be lost. Where do you want to go?" "New Orleans," Bess replied. The young man laughed. "You're a long way from there," he said. "But at this point, I think the best thing for you to do is turn left, go through Titusville, and then hit the highway." "Thank you very much," Bess said with a smile. She was already folding up the map and putting it away. As she started off, the stranger called, "Oh, wait a minute!" Bess instantly became alarmed. Was this man going to detain them? But he went on pleasantly. "Say, maybe you're the 3 girls that man was asking about a little while ago." "What man?" Nancy spoke up quickly. "A fellow in a black convertible with black and red seat covers. He stopped here right after I parked and I came out to talk to him. He asked me if 3 girls traveling alone had gone past here." Nancy and her friends looked questioningly at one another. Could the driver have been the person who had stolen Nancy's car? "Oh, I'm sure we're not the girls he meant," George put in hastily. "What did this man look like?" The description the stranger gave exactly fitted that of the car thief. "What else did he say?" Nancy asked. "The man said that the 2 cars had been traveling together, but somehow had become separated." "I see," said Nancy. "Did he happen to say where he was going?" "No, he didn't." "Which road did he take?" The young man pointed straight ahead. Bess asked, "Could you go to New Orleans taking that road?" "Yes, you could. It would be shorter, as a matter of fact, but the road isn't very good." Nancy asked to see the map, and once more Bess took it out of the compartment. A thought had come to the girl detective. Maybe the affable young stranger was in league with the car thief. Although she realized her suspicions probably were wrong, Nancy decided it would be best not to take either of the roads he had mentioned. Following her hunch, she told him briefly that the girls had had enough driving for one night and would stay at a hotel in the nearest town. "Turn right, Bess," she said. She thanked the young man for his help, then the girls drove off. Nancy told the cousins her suspicions and said that as soon as they reached another crossroad, they would turn left. "Then we'll go left again and finally hit Titusville." She and George kept looking out the rear window to see if any car was following them, but they saw none. Finally, Nancy said, "We're safe so far." Soon she took her turn at the wheel. Nancy wondered who was ahead in the race to New Orleans, the girls or the car thief. Hopefully, she thought, if that young man at the crossroads was honest and not in league with the driver of the black car, maybe we have outwitted the thief. Beginning to feel weary, Nancy decided they had better stop at a motel. Just beyond the small town of Titusville, she came to an attractive one and turned in. As she pulled into the well-lighted parking area, the young detective's eyes widened. Next to her stood a black convertible with new-looking black and red seat covers. Nancy quickly woke Bess and George, told them where they were, and pointed to the car. "Look!" she said excitedly. Bess gave a shiver. "You mean we're about to close in on the car thief? Shouldn't we notify the police and let them do it?" Nancy said that she was going to consult the motel proprietor first as to who was driving the car. The 3 girls took their bags from the luggage compartment and walked into the office of the motel. A plump, bald-headed man sat in a barrel-shaped chair, his head resting on his chest. He was snoring slightly. Nancy walked up and tapped the man on the shoulder. He awoke with a start. "Do you want rooms?" he asked sleepily. Nancy nodded, then said, "Would you mind telling me who the person is that came here in the black convertible with red and black seat covers? We're looking for someone with a car like that." "Person?" the plump man exploded. "You mean that gang? Mother, father, 3 children, a dog, a cat, and a parrot." The 3 girls burst into laughter. "Wrong family," Nancy chuckled. "Well, have you 2 nice rooms for us?" The proprietor took the girls' bags and his keys, leading the way down a corridor. "These are the best accommodations we have," he said, smiling and unlocking adjoining rooms. Oh, I was so sleepy I forgot to ask you to register. We'll do it in the morning, said Nancy. She preferred this arrangement, just in case the car thief might arrive later at the motel and learn from the proprietor that the girls were there. The girls slept soundly, but were wide awake by 7 o'clock. Bess, the first to look outdoors, groaned. "Snow!" she exclaimed. "A regular blizzard!" Bess suggested that they delay their trip, at least for a day. But by the time the girls had eaten breakfast, the snowfall had slackened, and Nancy decided it would be safe for them to go on. She herself took the wheel, with her 2 friends in front with her. They had not gone many miles when they came to a roadblock with a huge sign indicating a detour to the right. "Goodness only knows what's ahead of us," Bess said nervously. Nancy turned. Half a mile farther on, the road led up a steep incline. As the girls neared the summit of the hill, they saw that there was a sheer drop to the left of the road. "Oh, do be careful," Bess begged. "Hush," George commanded. Although Nancy was sure that the tires were excellent, she would be relieved when the car had safely reached the bottom of the hill on the other side. Nancy reached the summit and was just about to start down the steep incline when all 3 girls gasped at the frightening sight which confronted them. "Oh!" Bess screamed. "Stop!" Across the road ahead lay 2 sections of an electrical cable which had been snapped by the storm. Sparks flashed dangerously from the broken ends. Nancy put on her brakes. The next instant, the car skidded toward the left of the road with its sheer drop of 30 feet. End of Chapter 4.